What's up, everybody? Welcome back in Tuck Rule Takes episode 122.
Yeah.
Alan Hegan here, Liam McDade here, Mike Sullivan on the injury list, out with the flu for this
uh,
one. He will be missed, but we are hoping
he's
that
week
he
to
will
week.
be. Yeah, he's a week-to-week case. He will be back hopefully next week when we have a little bit more Patriots news. Liam, first off, what's going on? You got any good stories or anything to start us off with?
Yeah, ferociously hungover. Went on a pub crawl yesterday, so bounced around Boston to a few different spots, and now I'm, scatterbrained and worn down by the unbearable burden of being alive. But here to talk some Patriots. Got some life back into me. Got my extra large coffee, and listened to some old Patriots memories on the way over here. So I'm jazzed up.
Good. I'm glad to hear that you found that little rejuvenation because the Patriots back in the 2000s gave us that rejuvenation. Whenever we had a bad week, it'd be like Sunday would come. It's like, oh, Patriots are playing. Let's see
The
who was
Broncos.
bad.
Oh, we'll kick some ass.
Yeah, they're playing the Jaguars. We'll win 58
Yeah.
nothing, and then it'll be a good feeling.
Yeah. How
So
about you? You got anything good going on?
I'm on school vacation this week, so I have a
Lucky
week off.
motherfucker.
So I can, yeah. So I got to actually. This is how I know I'm old. Like I know I'm old already, but
Yeah,
I
no,
got
that's
to
clear.
sleep in. So we're recording on Sunday, February 18th. First Sunday without football. That's so weird to think
Yeah.
about. Like the
Oh, it's
first
it's
week without
borderline
any
depressing.
football. It kind of is. Like, yeah, you got like the USFL and XFL that are like combining now, but
Yeah.
like that's not anything. But I slept until 7:30 this morning.
Damn.
And I literally felt, and I'm going to use the word again, rejuvenated. That's me
Yeah.
sleeping in at this
So what
point.
time you really are so old? What time do you normally get up? Like five, four?
I'm usually up for school and everything. I'm up at 6. So I'm up at 6, out the
Oh,
door by
dude.
6:30. And
Fuck
it's like,
that.
I know, I'm just like,
In my nightmares. Yeah,
yeah.
I woke
So
up at 10 today, but that's because I'm irresponsible and it's a Sunday and I got work at 2. I do start a big boy job soon, though, which is going to require me to probably get up at 6 every morning, and that's going to blow.
yeah, well, hey, listen, at least you got the 9 to 5, and then you can have the weekends off now, so it'll be
That's the
good.
idea. Yeah, more consistent hours. So
Congrats are in order to Liam. Big boy
much
job now.
appreciated. Yep, feels
So
fantastic.
golf clap, golf taps because I'm sipping on a nice water right now as Liam spits into a spitter. But anyways, not a lot to talk about this week with the Patriots. We got a couple tidbits we'll hit on, and then we'll head out of here. This isn't going to be your normal hour and a half show. This is probably going to be a nice, easy 45, 50-minute show. So be prepared for those that like the longer episodes. So bear with us here. So let's get into it. So the first thing that we want to talk about, and Liam and I were talking about this kind of before the show kind of started. So the Patriots have some free agents that are out there, some notable ones. Kyle Duggar, Kendrick Bourne, Hunter Henry, just among a couple of really a lot of free agents that they
The
have for this
headliners
upcoming
right there.
offseason. Exactly. The big one that we want to talk about is Kyle Duggar. So Kyle Duggar, obviously young and upcoming kind of superstar on the defensive side of the football. And the question that's been thrown out there is, do we think he's going to get franchise tagged? So you get franchise tagged, you're on like a 1 year contract, and then you can be a free agent for the following year. So I'll kind of open it up to you, Liam, because I know you really love Kyle Duggar. You're a Duggar
Love.
stan, as the kids would say.
Very
So
much so.
so would you franchise tag Duggar? Would you just try to sign him to the contract extension? Because don't forget, the Patriots have, a lot of money in cap space this offseason to re-sign some guys and sign some other guys if they want to. Or do you just say Duggar's a little bit out of the price range of what we're comfortable with? Maybe we get like an Eddie Jackson that just got released from the Chicago Bears, this past week. So what say you about Kyle Duggar going into this free agency process?
I had no idea Eddie Jackson got released. Granted, I think he's been living off name and reputation more than his actual play in the last couple of years. But I did like Eddie Jackson back in the day. Back to the task at hand. This is the ultimate. What do I want to happen, or what would I do if I was the GM? If I could wave a magic wand and I was in charge of the Patriots, I would have one decision. What I think the Patriots are actually going to do is an entirely different one.
All right, so
So
so let's hear both sides of it.
Yes. So if I'm in charge and I can make the decision, I'm signing him. Like you said, we got the money to play around with. He's young. His production has been very consistent across the board. I'm looking at it. He had 2 interceptions last season. Um, the most tackles of his career. Um, and the most tackles for a loss. So there is no dip in production that you can see with the numbers, and that was evident watching him. The defense really tightened up toward the end, kind of after those 2 blowouts after the Saints games. The defense kind of tightened up and got a lot better. It was shaky to start the season, but they were the bright spot. They were the anchor, the highlight. Really, the only thing that we as Patriots fans had to look forward to, and we could know with consistency each Sunday was that the defense would show up. We'd probably still lose 7-0, but the defense would show up.
Right.
So and with Duggar, like he's a stud. Maybe it's my personal thing. I've always loved the safeties. Like I grew up in the Brian Dawkins, Ed Reed, Troy Polamalu era, Adrian Wilson. I love the hard hitting guys who can sack, get picks, make ferocious hits over the middle, and Kyle Duggar does it all. So if I was in charge and I'm making a decision, I'm making him up to a long term. He we can get him for a good price tag for what he's worth. We don't have to overpay. I can't imagine it would be a wildly competitive market for safety help out there. He's not looked at as Kevin Byard, who again I think is living off reputation alone as well. The Eagles just traded for him this past season. For some reason, Kyle Duggar isn't in the talks as one of the best safeties in the league. I don't think it's a huge talent pool. Unfortunately, defensive backs and safeties seem to be harder and harder to find as years go on. But if we can lock up one of the best secondary players we've had on the Patriots since Stephon Gilmore, I would absolutely do so. He's phenomenal. He can do it all. So I would lock him up. What do I think they're going to do? Unfortunately, I think they're going to franchise tag him and just draw out the inevitable, see how he does this upcoming season, and then they'll probably let him walk after this upcoming season.
So they probably will. I think you're right. And I think you're spot on with that last part. I think the franchise tag, and I'm going to say surprisingly, because you think that with a new offense, a new offensive system, and everything else coming into play, you think a guy like Hunter Henry or maybe like a Kendrick Bourne would get the franchise tag just to have some offensive stability from at least one spot on the offense. But with Kyle Duggar here, I almost compare him, and I've used a couple articles to kind of just like make this reference and comparison. So I'll give credit where credit's due. Like SB Nation was one of them that I was reading about. Think about Grant Delpit from the Cleveland Browns. He just got a new deal for about 3 years, about 36 million. So quick math on that. It's about 12 million a year. You get Kyle Duggar for like 10 to 12 million a year. And keep in mind, Delpit was 7 spots, I think, behind Duggar in the draft or ahead. He was in the same draft class.
Yeah.
If you can sign Duggar for 10 to 12 million, that's fine. But I think 15 and above, like 15 million and above for a safety, that's a steep price tag
Yeah.
to pay,
It's an
even for a
undervalued
27-year
position
old.
now.
It
Yeah. No
is.
no defensive position is really valued except for maybe defensive line, which is at an all-time high because of the Niners.
Right. And it's not like you're getting safeties like Rodney Harrison anymore. You know what I mean? And not
Yeah.
because he was a
Don't
Patriot, but
exist.
they don't. You're right. You're not getting the Devin McCourties or anything anymore. You're getting good quality guys that can, play deep and also, make hits when needed. And that's really all the safety is good for now. But anyways, Kyle Duggar, a crucial part of the future of this defense. Obviously, Gerard Mayo leading the way now for the Patriots, still going to be defensive minded. So it would kind of shock me if they just let him go entirely. I think he's going to get the franchise tag, and then we're going to see a couple other guys that we wouldn't expect to go in free agency, like a Kendrick Bourne, who's been talking it up, hooping and hollering how he wants to be back, which is great. But I think the Patriots are going to be like, probably not. Like, go get your money somewhere else. So
Yeah. That's a great point with Mayo being a former middle linebacker for the Patriots. Obviously, he's going to try and be impartial. He's going to favor both sides of the ball and try and be as unbiased as possible. But subconsciously, there's got to be a little bit of favorability toward the defense there, where he can relate to the defense more than he can the offense. I wonder if that comes into his decision making at all.
I mean, it kind of has to, right? I mean, it'd be hard to not be biased based on just everything that Gerard Mayo accomplished on defense.
Yeah.
So it's
And he
like,
knows it. Like that's his strong suit. He is the defensive head coach, whether he likes it or not. That's the label he's gonna get slapped with.
right. So, is there anything else you want to cover with Duggar, or you think I think we covered it pretty well with
Yeah,
him.
I would say so.
So one thing that didn't come up in kind of the list of topics we had, but just one thing I wanted to bring up. So the Patriots are going to officially announce their whole coaching staff next week. So I just kind of wanted to run through the names again and just kind of maybe give it a grade for what we think it was for just kind of the whole offseason. So I'm just going to run through it. And then, Liam, you just tell me what grades you think this offseason has given for the Patriots coaching staff. So
Yep.
head coach Gerard Mayo, offensive coordinator Alex Van Pelt, QB coach TC McCartney, which, by the way, I don't know if you know this, but I think I asked you this. Did you ever see the 30 for 30 about Colorado football?
No.
You need to see it. I think it's called The Gospel According to Mac, because Bill McCartney was like this big, like he was big into religion and everything, but he
Yeah.
coached at Colorado when they won the national championship.
What year
And
was
his
that?
it was in the 90s. It was before you were born, before I was born too. But
Damn.
still watching watch
1890s?
yeah, pretty much. But with Colorado, they were so good, and Bill McCartney was at the forefront of it, and he had a son, or sorry, a grandson, TC McCartney, that played at LSU and has coached in the NFL and stuff too. So
Okay.
when I saw that name, I was like, wow, that's a name that I actually know. Huh. Thanks,
Yeah, you'll have to
ESPN
shoot me
30
the
for 30.
text of that. I eat up those 30 for 30s. They're all fantastic. You'll
Oh,
have to shoot
nice.
me the text after the show and let me know what it is.
Absolutely. Running backs coach Taylor Embry, formerly of the Jets, now with the Patriots. Assistant wide receiver coach Tyquan Underwood. We would assume that Troy Brown's probably going to be the wide receiver coach again, unless otherwise. Tight end coach. I don't know if they've. Did you see anything about tight end coach? I don't think I saw anything.
No.
Nothing. Okay, so that's going to be a surprise for next
Yeah,
week.
I got nothing.
Two offensive line coaches, Scott Peters, Robert Kugler. Want to make sure I said that right. Senior offensive assistant Ben McAdoo. I know how you feel about McAdoo, and I'm kind of in the same boat. I'm like, whatever. As long as he's not a main part of it, then fine. Assistant is fine. Defensive coordinator DeMarcus Covington, defensive line coach Jerry Montgomery, outside linebackers coach Drew Wilkins. Again, a big important one because that was Judon's coach when he was a Pro Bowler with the Ravens. Inside linebackers coach Donta Hightower, cornerbacks coach Mike Pellegrino, safeties coach Brian Belichick, special teams coordinator Jeremy Springer, and then special teams assistant, I believe, is to be determined. So just hearing those names, and I know a lot of them we haven't heard of, do you have a grade for this team with the coaching staff they have in place?
Like you said, it's tough because a lot of these names, they all make sense. Like you said, so they all have clear pedigree, clear reputation. We're getting the um I don't know. I want to give it a high grade because I love the players aspect of the fact that they're coaching. Like Dante Hightower, Gerard Mayo, Troy Brown, Taekwon Underwood is the assistant wide receivers coach. All that stuff, I eat that up. So that makes me want to give it a high grade. And then Ben McAdoo makes me want to give it an F. And
Right.
Van Pelt and all the other ones, they're fairly unknown. He had success last year with Joe Flacco, which isn't hard to do. I think we could both coach Joe Flacco into throwing a ton of touchdowns. He's the man. But like I said, all these positions make sense. They all came from situations where they had success before. The potential is absolutely there for all of them. You can talk yourself into all these guys, but you can talk yourself out of them too because they're completely unknown. We're like, it's completely a crapshoot. Like we're buying a lottery ticket right now, and we're going to see if we're going to break even, if we're going to lose the money, or if we're going to make some profit on this. And
Right.
it's purely just kind of educated guesses based on their bodies of work. I will give it a strong B minus because there's just so much new.
Right.
And I think there's going to be a lot of room for error, a lot of guys figuring it out, a lot of first year woes and mistakes for Gerard Mayo being head coach. It's just inevitable. Like that's going to happen. Even the greatest defensive minds come in there, or greatest offensive minds like Sean McVay came in and they had their troubles despite dominating. there's so many different situations that come up in a game, and with Gerard Mayo being in charge of everything, I think that's going to be fairly brutal on him. I think there's certainly going to be a few coaching mistakes that we see it during the season where like Bill wouldn't have made that mistake, but of course that's always going to be the case because Bill makes very little mistakes, and just about every other head coach is far from perfect. So I'm gonna ride off the potential there, and I'll give it a strong B, just because it all makes sense to me. Like all these
Going
guys,
from B minus to a B in the same tangent.
yeah, exactly. Because I'm talking myself into it. Like, all right, there's going to be mistakes, but we expect mistakes. We're not looking to win the Super Bowl this season. We're looking for strong improvement. We're looking for potential. We're looking for fun. I want to see big plays that I remember 5 years from now, from this upcoming season. Go, oh, remember when you know Ramondre Stevenson broke off that 60-yard run against the Jets? Like, we're talking. I just want memories. I had like a winning season and memories to take away. We're not looking for anything serious. Yeah, it's all potential. I'm gonna stick with B. B minus B. It's tough for me to make up my mind, but it all makes sense. I like the moves.
We'll call it an 82.5. That's what we'll call it
Yeah,
right now. It's a little better than a B minus. It's almost at the B, so
yeah.
we'll keep it
With
right in there.
potential to tank because we have Ben McAdoo.
So I'm gonna go a little lower just because, and I'll say why in a second. I'm gonna go a C to C plus, and here's why. Gerard Mayo, I think, gives it the little bump because Mayo is someone I think that's going to be a really good head coach.
Yeah,
But these hirings, like Alex Van Pelt, he was a name that we hadn't really heard of. There were other like better names out there, like Zach Robinson was out there at the
yep,
time, who I know I wanted to come in here, but obviously now he's with the Falcons with Raheem
yeah. I was
Morris.
fairly indifferent on him.
Yeah. But like Donta Hightower coming back is cool. I think Mike Pellegrino and Brian Belichick coming back gives a little bit of familiarity to the defense,
Yeah.
which is good. But some of these other coaches, again, like
What
Van
about
Pelt,
Covington?
I mean, Covington, and another name, like a first year defensive coordinator, how's he going to do with a unit
Yeah,
that should be one of the best in football? Like, what are you going to do with the special teams, Jeremy Springer, who it's constantly been a disappointment the past couple seasons. So it's a lot of unknowns. Like I said, I like some of the coaching hires. Hightower, I think TC McCartney is going to be big for the quarterbacks coach,
yeah.
especially with whoever the
I didn't
quarterback
realize the
is for next
pedigree he
year.
has. It's cool. Like he's part of a legacy of extremely successful, very well run football
Right.
minds.
Exactly. And so again, like you said, there's so much unproven, but it's one thing that's good is that the Patriots coaching staff is bigger than we've seen in the last couple of years. Like you think about it, Belichick's coaching staffs, Liam, have been so small, but now the Patriots have a wide variety of mindsets. They can, sometimes they say it's not good to have too many cooks in the kitchen, but in this case, like we can admit it now, it's going to be a rebuild. This is going to be a rebuild
They
of the
are fighting an
Patriots.
uphill battle, that's for damn sure. I mean,
Yeah,
everything looked terrible. The special teams, like we were fucking atrocious across the board. So when I look at
exactly.
Covington, I'm like, oh damn, like I almost trust Mayo's defensive mind a little more than Covington, but it's because the body of work, like it's hard to look at his resume and go, oh yeah, like yeah, he had success in all these different places. Is that going to translate now that he's here to not save the team, but it's going to be a huge fucking burden on all
Not
these
save the
guys.
team, but save the team. Essentially
Yeah,
save the team.
yeah, exactly. I hate to hoist pressure. I hate to be that media guy. It's like, oh my god, this is make or break. But like, this is going to be brutal. Like, if I was the coach for the Patriots, I'd be stressed as fuck because I'm like, oh my
I
god,
know.
like, what do I have to deal with?
And I think that's why, like going back to the offensive coordinator position with Alex Van Pelt for a second, I think that's why they hired him in the first place, because you already have a first year new head coach. You already have a new first year defensive coordinator. Do you really want to keep it all new across the board, or at least get a little bit of experience, especially in the phase of the football that you were least productive in? Because
Yeah,
that offense has been putrid. It was
anemic.
putrid in 2023. It was bad in 2022, but it was borderline unwatchable
Yeah,
I shouldn't say borderline, it was unwatchable after the first 2 weeks, for the Patriots for the rest of
yeah,
the season. So again, just wanted to kind of go through it because the coaching staff looks like it's pretty much filled out at this point. So I'm looking forward to seeing what the coaches do, and I'm looking forward to see what they come up with as far as the draft pick is concerned. And we can talk a little bit of draft in a couple of minutes, but
yeah. And I think a lot of it comes down to players and the personnel that they get. Like a rookie head coach is job is going to be infinitely easier if he's got a lot of talent. Like when Sean McVay came into the league, he had Todd Gurley, he had Brandon Cooks, he had all these studs on offense, all these quote unquote toys to play around with and whatnot. So I think that's a huge part of it. The I guess we could talk about what Matthew Judon tweeted toward Marlon Humphreys the other day, his former
Yeah.
teammate on the Ravens. So it seems like the Ravens are going to cut him, salary cap issues and whatnot. Classic veteran gets the dump, and he already tweeted out. Judon said, "I think the Patriots 44 is open, meaning number 44. That's what Marlon Humphrey's number is with the Ravens. He's back to his recruiting ways. Judon's never given up. He is the unofficial GM of this team. He's going to try and get talent for the Patriots every year. Another reason why we fucking love this guy. What are your thoughts on Marlon Humphreys? Because Judon pitched for Odell. I wasn't psyched for that. I didn't particularly want Odell, but he tried. Any big name that's out there, he's going to try for. Of course, he's got favorability with his teammate here. You like this guy.
So here's the thing about Marlon Humphrey. He's 27 years old. He averages about 20 million a year. That's about his average salary. Little concerning, but I mean, honestly, I'm okay with bringing him in if that means you get rid of JC Jackson to free up a lot of money in order to sign him. Because you're
Yeah,
going to need to.
I don't think he'd command a big tag though.
I mean, he was getting 20 million pretty much a season. So
Yeah,
what do you
but
think? What do
he
you think? What
knows
do you
he's
think the
not getting
number's
that.
going to be? What do you
So
think? Like 16,
realistically,
17?
he's past his prime. Like I'm gonna level with you. Like his shelf life is on the way down. Only played 10 games last season, but in those 10 games, he wasn't the Pro Bowl Marlon Humphreys that we've seen from years before. Corners can drop off at any moment, literally mid-season, 3 games in, at the end of the season, it can happen at any point where somebody just loses it. It's a nearly impossible position to stay good at for consistently for years and years and years. So I think he's going to be shockingly surprised by how low his value is going to be, unless some dumbass team like the Jags is willing to overpay for him. I would imagine he'd probably get somewhere in like the 7 to 10 million range.
You think that little for a guy that's
I
27
do.
and commanded a big contract earlier in his career like that?
Yes, I mean, look at Patrick Peterson. He's been bouncing around the league for the last 5 years. Granted, he's way older, but once Patrick Peterson left the Cardinals, there was no value for him. He was getting very small deals for the rest of his career. He's still in the league. He kind of gets a 1 year deal every year with a couple different teams. I'm not sure what his contract is off the top of my head, but they're not grandiose big deals by any means. It's the easiest position to replace. You get new guys that are willing to come in, like what the Eagles did, where they got Ricks from Georgia in like the 6th round or something like that. He ended up starting for the team. And granted, the Eagles defense wasn't stellar, but they got this scrappy young corner who tries really hard, who played for a fantastic organization with the Georgia Bulldogs. It's so easy to get those guys and have them for cheap than to get Marlon Humphreys and pay him another 20 million. I don't think teams are going to sign up for that.
So here's what I'll say. If you end up somehow getting Marlon Humphrey, cool. Like that helps your corners. But I don't think he should be the first thing that should be a necessity for this Patriots team.
No,
He
I mean
should
we have
be
so many problems.
right. I don't think corner is one of them though, because think about it. You have Christian Gonzalez that's going to be coming back. Jonathan Jones is still there. Marcus Jones is going to be coming back from an injury. Miles Bryant could be your 4th or 5th corner, which is fine. JC Jackson, like if they keep him, but I don't think that's a big if because I don't think they're keeping him. I think more
Yeah,
likely
he's
he's
been a
gone.
headache.
But he still has some talent, but he's probably going to be gone. But even the 4 that I mentioned before, like your corners are fine. Like you don't need a big upgraded corner. If you want to sign one for depth, fine. But go tackle the other positions first. No pun intended. But make sure
Yeah,
that you get the other positions done first. That's your
yeah.
big.
And that's the thing. Like, we're not going to ink this guy to a huge deal for a position that's one of our stronger positions on the team. He's been steadily declining. I don't think he's going to get a big deal from anyone. I'm looking at his pass deflection numbers here. They've been rapidly dropping since his prime. He was killing it. Double digit pass deflections his first 5 seasons. Last year, only 7, and then or 2 years ago, only 7. This past year, only 5. Granted, like I said, he missed 7 games, but it's there are so many question marks across the board at corners. Certainly not worth it for the Patriots.
Yeah, I think he's worth taking a flyer on, but again, don't make him a necessity. That's the biggest thing for me.
Yeah, Judon just wants to stack talent. He wants the super teams, and I get it. That's fine. I love player personnel. Get the studs in here, and I think it'll be an infinitely easier job for the coaches, and it'll put a much better brand on the field.
Yes, no doubt about it. No doubt about it at all. All right. We have a couple more things to talk about, then we'll get out of here for the week. Because again, it's been a really light week when it comes to Patriot stuff. Justin Fields. That's another name that we need to talk about because it's a name that's been floating around. So obviously, with the Bears having the number one overall pick, it looks like they're going to take Caleb Williams from USC, and then obviously you have the Commanders at 2 and the Patriots at 3. Here's my question to you, Liam, and you can obviously interpret it any way that you want to. Do you do you think it's in the best interest of the Patriots to trade away 3, get Justin Fields, trade down with Atlanta, and then kind of build around Justin Fields? Is that something that you'd want to see? Or are you a firm believer in, you know what, we have 3 for a reason, get Drake May, get Jaden Daniels, whatever, and then, try to build around the rookie quarterback? What would be your preferred option?
What would be my preferred option? See, that this is why I love football because it's so complicated. You're handed great conundrums like this. The Bears have their own, which is to figure out whether they're going to take Caleb Williams with the first pick or lock it down, sign Justin Fields and ride it out with him and trade the pick and get some assets and build around him. And then when it comes, it seems like it's a foregone conclusion. Everyone's kind of assumed that they're taking Caleb Williams. I'm not sure why. I think it's probably a much harder decision. Anyone working with the Bears right now still probably has no idea what they're going to do. I'm sure it's split. I know my buddy's a Bears fan. He talks about how all his friends and everyone he knows that are Bears fans, they're split on the matter. A lot of them like Fields, a lot of them want Caleb Williams. It's an interesting idea for the Patriots to pick up somebody else's trash and with the fact that or with the potential that he could be great. Have we seen enough from Justin Fields? Do we love Justin Fields enough to trade the most valuable Patriots pick in the last 20 years? I can't even think of the last time
No.
we had number 3. It's never happened in my lifetime that I've watched the Patriots. I would say probably not. I would kind of lean against it. It would be fun. Like he's big time. He has the scrambling ability of Lamar Jackson. He's got a cannon arm. He has a fucking beautiful deep ball. But it just seems like he was so bad in so many different games. And I don't know if it's just the Bears' talent is shitty. I mean, they had Chase Claypool, so clearly they're not shooting for the moon there with offensive talent. It's impossible for me to figure out whether it was a team problem or a Justin Fields problem. Because sometimes he had 4 touchdown passing games. Sometimes he'd throw for like 98 yards. And I'm like, dude, like where is any consistency here? It's so up and down. It's like Mac Jones. Like he has that game against the Bills where we won, and then he has those other games where he throws fucking 3 interceptions. And
Right.
you're like, dude, what is going on here? So the pendulum swings so hard both ways. I truly don't know what to make of Justin Fields. It just seems like a negligent gamble. Like it's almost unnecessary to say, hey, he could be something. Let's just rely our entire franchise on the fact that we saw 5, 6 really good games last season, and then mostly shit games the rest of last season and the past 2 seasons. Like he has not been spectacular. He'll have a crazy 90-yard run every couple of games that makes everyone go, "Oh my god, Justin Fields could really be something." I have trouble hitching my wagon to that.
Would you trade Justin Fields if it meant you could keep number 3?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
let's say it's like a couple seconds and then maybe like a first in 2025.
yeah. Like, why not? Because the potential is there. Like, he could come in and with good structure and a team built around him with better talent. He probably just needs a fresh start anyway. I truly believe that quarterbacks like Mac Jones, if Mac Jones goes somewhere else, I think he'd probably be really good. Some times you just wear out a welcome with a team. He could be great. So yeah, if it doesn't mean our third overall pick, yes, I'd absolutely do it because why not? There's very little risk there, but I think it's almost negligent behavior to trade our third overall pick that we just suffered for the last 6 months dealing with how shitty this football team was to get this incredible pick. And now we're going to trade it for somebody who's a strong maybe. He's cool, but big time box office plays from time to time, but there's no consistency there. It's like owning a lion. Like, yeah, it's cool. Look at my pet lion, but it's negligent behavior because there's a fucking huge chance that that lion will kill you. And it, the benefit almost, or the benefit doesn't outweigh the risk that it comes with. So yeah, if it's not for the third overall pick, I'd do it.
See, here's the thing. So if it's not for the third overall pick, and if it doesn't cost you a first in the immediate future, then I'd say do what you can to make it happen. But if it's going to cost you any first round picks at this point, don't bother because, like you said, Justin Fields is too much of a gamble because he's too much of a roller coaster going up and down. Yeah, he has the mobility in the pocket. Yes, he has the big arm. But if he's not being consistent, because we saw what inconsistencies did all of 2023 with Mac Jones. Now, granted, yeah, Mac Jones is not the quarterback Justin Fields is in terms of their styles of play and the type of quarterbacks they are.
But they're both very capable.
They are. But again, it's an unnecessary gamble to take unless you're sure that he's going to be our quarterback for the next 5 to 7 years. So
yeah, it's a tough one. Truly, like to cut on. This is why I love football because you can talk about it to its end. There's no real answer. It's you can make strong arguments for either side.
Yeah, exactly. So again, all these offseason rumors are fun.
Yeah, they're preposterous. It's fun to think of the what ifs because if it never happens, we can look back on this and 5 years from now and go, wow, Justin Fields went to the Buccaneers and ended up killing it. What if the Patriots got him that one offseason that he was rumored? It always leads down a wild rabbit hole.
Oh, of course it does. No doubt about it. All right. Last topic that we'll kind of talk about, and I'll kind of take the reins on this one. The Patriots Dynasty documentary is now out. The first 2 episodes are now out on Apple TV. And I'll just give a little snapshot of it. So the first episode kind of covered the first half of the 2001 season. So it was the Drew Bledsoe season. Obviously, we all know what happened. Game 2 of the season. Bledsoe gets hit by Mo Lewis. He gets knocked out. But you really hear the perspective of Drew Bledsoe and how everything kind of went down. And you have to understand something, Liam. So he was the first overall pick for the Patriots back in '93. That was the year I was born. Yeah. It was literally, I think, 4 or 5 months before I was, brought into this world. There you go. The Bledsoe jersey. Gotta love it. Drew Bledsoe was seen as the guy. And you know how, and this I thought was interesting in the first episode, you know how everyone viewed Brady as like Kraft's like second son?
Yep.
In the documentary, Robert Kraft said the same thing about Drew Bledsoe. He said that Bledsoe was like a second son to him. And it's funny too. The interesting part of episode 1 is when Brady was going well and when Bledsoe was ready to come back, Kraft was like, I want Drew to be in there, but I trust your judgment as a coaching staff. Like, I think Drew should be in there. And Kraft was absolutely gutted when the Patriots played the Rams in the regular season. Brady had a bad game. He threw a couple picks in that game. And then the following week against the Saints, Belichick's like, yeah, Brady's going to be the starter and Bledsoe's going to be the backup. And, that's going to be that. And then all of a sudden they end up winning 9 games in a row on their way to the Super Bowl. Yeah. So that was kind of an interesting dynamic. And also, just real quick, there was a funny story in it where Brady bought a condo from Ty Law, and Ty Law is like, listen, I have left $150K on the table for Brady and a couple other rookies to get that place. Like if anything, he owes me $150,000. Then they just cut to Brady a second later, and he's like, "Bullshit! Like that place is not worth its value." And he just like goes off. It's nice to see stories like that. Like those are like the funny, humorous moments that we never get to hear about. because everything was so airtight for 20 years. But like that's a great story for episode one. But then again, like I said, you kind of feel for Drew Bledsoe because he brought the Patriots to a Super Bowl in 97,
Yeah.
and he was determined to get them back to the Super Bowl. And who knows what would have happened if Belichick was like, yeah, Drew's coming back in and Tom's going back to the bench.
Yeah, it's like what I said earlier. It's a great conundrum of sports where it's like I don't think you could go wrong either way. Like obviously we made the right choice and it worked out historically well. But if we stuck with Drew Bledsoe, I have no doubt that we probably still win 2 Super Bowls, I would say. Maybe 3. I certainly doesn't have the Brady-esque run to it, but Drew Bledsoe was fantastic. $100 million contract, one of 7 players to do it in history. Fantastic player. It's so wild. It's a quite the problem that we had. Like what a first world problem. Oh no, we have 2 fantastic quarterbacks, one of which is the greatest of all time. The other one is significantly above average. A Super Bowl playing quarterback. He took him there,
Yeah.
but friggin'
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. You had Tom Brady, who nobody knew was the guy yet. Like nobody knew what he was going to do. He was just a second year guy at that point. And you have Drew Bledsoe that signed $100 million contract. He was on a 10-year, $103 million deal with the Patriots at that time.
yeah.
And that was considered like big in the NFL
Of
back then.
course, yeah. Oh, I mean, it
So
still is. It's such a marginal. Only Mike Vick, Donovan McNabb, Patrick Mahomes, Dante Culpepper. Only like the truly fantastic, electrifying, elite quarterbacks that are box office and big time have got those contracts. Drew Bledsoe, you would not think fits the bill for one. Looking back on it in history, but
right.
it made all the sense in the world at the time. He was fantastic for the Patriots in the late '90s, and when Tom Brady got hurt in that AFC Championship game against the Steelers, Bledsoe came in. Patriots were 10-point underdogs against the Steelers before that game. Drew Bledsoe went in there, smoked them.
And the funny part is, so getting into the second episode, so that was kind of the first episode, my thoughts. The second episode kind of covered more of like the snowball against the Raiders and just everything that kind of happened in that game. And you heard Ernie Adams and just like him saying he had a feeling that they were going to win the game that night. They had a good game plan and everything else. So hearing from Ernie Adams was cool, and just kind of reliving that nostalgia and everything. And they actually left a cliffhanger after episode 2 where they go to Pittsburgh, Brady gets hurt, and then that's the end of the episode. So now we have to wait till Friday to watch the AFC Championship against the Steelers in 01 and then eventually the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So I can't wait for those next 2 episodes to come out. One thing that I think a lot of Patriots fans and a lot of people watching this documentary are going to agree on, we're not going to see the real juicy stuff until later on. Probably
Yeah.
in like episodes 7 through 10. That's when I think we're really going to start to see like Belichick, Brady, and Kraft talk about, after 2016, like what did it look like after the Falcon
Yeah.
Super Bowl? Because we knew that times were going to be ending soon. And then we were fortunate enough to get one more Super Bowl in 2018. But I'm curious to see like what are Brady's thoughts on Jimmy Garoppolo? Like what were his thoughts on that whole situation
Yeah.
when he originally came here? So that's the stuff I'm looking forward to. And I'm sure a lot of other Patriots fans like yourself are looking forward to it as well.
Yeah. And the headline about Tom Brady saying that things had soured with him and Belichick toward the end of their tenure came out like a week ago. And I was like, dude, why are you harping on this again? I'm sure that'll come out in the documentary. And I'm very curious to know what soured, how it could sour. With success like that, I have a hard time imagining that it does sour, but spending any long period of time with somebody else, there's always going to be trials and tribulations. But I'm curious to see how that goes. That will be the big draw, at least for me, because I want to know, like, see both sides of the argument and then kind of go, all right, who do I actually side with? Because I'm just kind of generically being like, yeah, I'm siding with Bill. Like, I believe in
Right.
Bill, but that's mostly because I'm a Tom Brady hater. I'd like to hear them both be candid and open up about it, and then I can make a true decision from there with information that hasn't been revealed to anyone outside of the Patriots organization.
I'm also curious to see how they do the next couple episodes. So they're going to talk about the championship. Are they going to spend a whole episode talking about the 2001 AFC Championship, or are they going to kind of combine like the AFC Championship and the Super Bowl into one episode? to kind of talk about it so that way they can move on to the other stuff.
Yeah.
That's what it's a weird thing, but I'm genuinely curious about it.
Yeah. And I mean, there's so many topics to choose from. I want to know how they distribute the time in the episodes for what, because we have 6 Super Bowls. You can't really focus on every single one of them so in depth. They're going to have to
Right.
gloss over a lot of important details. While they will absolutely talk about the Super Bowls, we have separate documentaries for those too. That I've watched every single America's game for the Patriots Super Bowls and whatnot. Those are fantastic. I love all of them. I'll watch the other teams ones too. But so those go very in depth on each Super Bowl. You're going to have to gloss over a lot of important information with these. I'm interested how they distribute it.
And I'm interested to see if they talk about like 2007 and 2011 to talk about the years where they made it to the Super Bowl, but then they fell short. I'm sure we'll
I
see
hope
some
they
stuff
gloss
about
over that
04.
part. I could do with that fucking part.
I know. I think
Ugh.
they'll definitely talk about 07. I think it wouldn't surprise me if 11 got glossed over and they were just
Yeah,
like, yeah, made to the
like we
Super
lost again.
Bowl. But then again, like, do they talk about it because it had been, at that point, 7 years since they won a Super Bowl? Because the last one they had won at that point was in 04. So that
Yeah,
was 7 years out. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know how they're going to handle it. So,
yeah,
again, really excited. If you haven't seen the documentary yet, make sure you have an Apple TV account.
yeah. I gotta get
Every
on that.
two
Start
episodes,
scouting for passwords.
you have to. 2 episodes every Friday, it actually started on Friday, February 15th, and it's going to continue, sorry, February 16th, and it continues on and on, at least for the next month. So look out for that. I'm truly, truly excited to see what direction it takes. Literally on Friday, I'm going to plop myself on the couch. As soon as I wake up, watch the 2 episodes and be happy about it. I might even
Fuck
go
yeah.
back and rewatch the first 2 episodes right now if I can. But
You motherfucker. Yeah, I gotta get on that ASAP. I think I know somebody with an Apple TV password.
there you go. You'll figure it out. We'll
Yeah,
all get figured
resilience.
out. Resilience. I love it. Anything else you want to talk about Patriots wise or anything NFL wise before we kind of head out for the week?
I think that covers the bases, old sport.
All right, bud. As always, make sure to rate and subscribe everywhere to the Talk World Takes podcast. You know where you can find us. We'll be back next week. Hopefully, Mike will be with us, and we'll get Mike's kind of thoughts on the episode and everything else too. Because I know he watched the first 2 episodes, so we'll kind of make sure he's in good spirits, in good health, and we'll go
Gotta
from
include
there.
him a little bit.
Yeah, he's got to be part of this somehow. He's only like the host
We'll
or
fit him
something.
in.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But that is the ever handsome, ever enchanting Liam McDade. I am your host for this week, Alan Nahigian.
Slightly
Thanks so
less
much.
handsome, slightly less enchanting.
Exactly. Thank you for listening to this podcast. Thank you for watching. Be on the lookout next week. And can't wait for the draft to come so we can find out who the Patriots take at 3 or if they trade the pick.
Best believe. Later.
3 feet.